Kicking it off.
We're
2025.
back.
Yeah.
So this is all told like what, our third year?
We will have crossed the 3-year mark in August 2025.
Wow. Look at us.
I know.
Look at us go. And honestly, we've covered a lot of really good cocktails, but the funny part is we're not even close to done.
I know. Somebody was talking to me a couple nights ago, and they're like, "Oh, so here's what it was, right?" So there's all this like medical drama, right? So Amy's getting her knee done; she's getting knee surgery done, and I'm in the kind of like the prep room with her, and the staff finds out that I do a cocktail podcast with my niece, and so they all get really excited about it, and they're like we can hear them in the hallway talking about it. Like, I wonder if there's a Negroni. Oh, there it is. And so, shout out TCO
hilarious.
nursing staff, because like a lot of them became listeners. Like, thank you, you guys did a wonderful job with my wife, and it was so much fun talking to you. But this one of the nurses asked me, she's like, "Well, gosh, I mean, it's probably you get through those cocktails pretty quick, huh? Like, there's only so many classic cocktails." I'm like, "Oh no." We'll never run out of content.
Ever. I mean,
Ever
we
run
are
out of
still
content.
in our back pocket. I know, that we know. We could do a whole season on tiki, and we haven't even.
Yeah.
That is still in our back pocket. It's
We
just a
could do
matter of when.
years.
I know.
Years on TV.
I know.
Yeah.
Tiki season we should probably pull that out sooner rather than later, because that.
I think so. I get a little worried about dedicating an entire season to Tiki, which, by the way, listeners, we're changing things up, right? So
Yes.
we're not doing it every week, because honestly, I think it's a lot to keep up with for you to be like, oh, okay, every week, different cocktail too. So we're going to do every other week. B, I don't know how this mayor thing's going to shake out. And so I want to kind of build a little space into my life. So
Yeah. Every other week will be good for you to actually, you'll need a cocktail at that point, which is good,
Totally.
Yeah.
Plus it's like, I mean, I don't know, you probably noticed, you're like, oh wow, these episodes aren't like matching up with what's on the Instagram and their website. And so, it just gives us just a kind of a chance to catch our breath and get content up. And honestly, after talking to Dawn on the HILF podcast, and she's like, I go every other week, and they're doing so great. I'm like, you know what? We don't have to go every week. Yeah.
No. And I'll wear it, Brad, because I'm the Insta. That is on me. It just, every week it just gets crazy on top of everything else that both you and I do. It was just,
you got the Join Jules thing you got to run, and so.
So this is gonna give.
Cry us more. Talk to us more about your life's problems.
I know. It's like, oh God, I make cocktails for a living. It's crazy. But seriously, just the scheduling on my end was just getting tough. So this will give us enough time to really dedicate getting the social stuff out there, tagging things that we talk about on the podcast. And now that we have such a backlog too, we'll be able to revisit other things on our Instagram instead of, new things coming out every week. With that said, everybody, one of the things that we've always talked about that I feel like now that we're doing it every other week, is to truly sip along with us. So when these episodes come out, we'll post on the website, on our Instagram, what you need. So it would be fun as you're listening to the podcast to make it with us. So then when you get to the history section, you can sip and learn about the cocktail you're sipping on. So that's kind of like what we want. But every week was a lot to ask of you.
Of you too. So you know what I think? Maybe we should add in, just kind of thinking on the fly, at the end of every episode, maybe we should tell people what to buy for the next episode, so they get ahead of it, right?
Oh, a little good pre-planning on our part,
hey, go get this, go get that, go get the other thing, right?
Yeah, I like that.
And so, I mean, we're going to tell you what you're going to need to buy here. Again, I'm a big fan of just buy the stuff as you make the drinks, but some people just like to do it ahead of time.
So if you've never made the cocktail before, get what Brad is telling you to. If you have made the cocktail before, then maybe step into my lane and get what I'm telling you to get. But if it's a new cocktail, always make it right the first time. Right, Brad?
Oh, all right. So you're saying start with me, then go to. That's nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I don't think it's too much stunt flying to do your cocktails, but
know,
I
but they need to know what good tastes like first.
Well, I also think that it's helpful to start with a foundation. Like when you start with the classics, and some of these classics that we're getting into now are like new classics, so they're already built on top of a foundation, right? So if you go back to those foundational cocktails we did kind of in the early, episodes back, like 1 through 20, ish in there, that's a great base layer to build on, because you'll recognize the formulas, right? So that's my advice there.
That's your rant. That's your rant.
That's my rant. Yeah. So all right. So what are we doing? So we're doing every other week. I think so the season's going to be literally 26 episodes, 52 weeks long. So we're going to go the entire year.
Yeah, which is great.
We'll give you the stuff to buy for the first 13 episodes, which will take you, first 12 episodes, because this is actually an episode. And that will take you through July 8th, and then we'll give you the next kind of tranche of things to buy. As always, there is going to be things that jump in there that we didn't tell you about because, we're like, oh, okay, we decided to switch things up. But as always, we will commit that everything we tell you to buy, you will use. So, I'm not going to send you to the store and have you buy something, then we end up deciding to scrap that recipe.
Right.
We're still going to have guests on the episode. We're still going to do 2 drinks. I do a drink, you do a drink. We're still going to get into the history, although some of these recipes and cocktails maybe don't have the most robust history. So, we'll get into some other topics too that are related, right, to throwing a party or, drinking or something to do with the history of a spirit or...
Or the glass. That's what I'm excited about. If there's a low history on a cocktail, we'll do that brief. But then say it's served in a coupe glass. Maybe we'll go into the history of the coupe glass. And honestly, I have to tip my hat off to Dawn with Hilf, because when she had us on for the history of the toast, I was like, okay, let's maybe when we get tight on the history's small, maybe let's branch out a bit, because that's fun.
That was like, she put on a master class of like guest engagement and creating that like drinking game and the toast. Like if you guys haven't listened to the episode by Hilf, History I'd Like to Hurt, she does an awesome job of going into the history behind toasts. So, like
not the bread.
The first toasts, and not the bread, but although oddly related. And like, we have just the greatest time playing this drinking game, trying to guess the answers and stuff.
Fun.
So, and she's a historian, and she's an actress, and she's a comedian, and she's so freaking funny. So hopefully we actually do an episode together again someday. It's just like there is such a there between our two genres that it was too fun. Yeah. So it kind of spurred up that idea for ours too. Is when the history's light, let's pop something fun in there about the history surrounding the cocktail space. Surround it, yeah. All right. What else are we doing this year? So we definitely still want your questions. So love the fact that you guys are sending in questions. And I actually got a drink recipe from the bar intern here a couple of days ago. Ooh. And actually we did, Jules. It came into our inbox, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Our first episode's always an old fashioned. I'm making this dude's old fashioned, and no way. Yep. So I haven't tried it yet. So I'll have a back pocket recipe ready just in case. So no offense, bar intern, but just in case, right? But it was like totally cool. I was like, all right, I want to try this. So like, send in your recipes, and we might feature it in an episode and kind of give you a little critique on it. We'll I think that's so fun. I love that, especially because that's literally what I do. It's like, if people make my cocktails and they have notes, please send them to me, because it's interesting. It's interesting to hear what people are making and drinking, but also B, what you've made, what people's thoughts are on them. I just think all around it's fun. It's just fun. Yeah, totally. Now, the big question is, how should we name the episodes? Should we do the drink first, or do some crafty name, which I'm not that crafty. So I don't know. Should we just kind of just go, I like the drink name first, so then people know what, kind of like what you're saying, the women, the nurses at the hospital. They're like, oh, do you have a Negroni one? Oh, great. Yeah. It's so I did one episode or one season where we had the drink names first, and then I switched it back to title first. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. So we'll do the drink name first, and if people are like, you know what, I really like it, we need to do the title first. Fine, tell me.
Right, just let us know. Just let us know. Yeah, we're nimble. We're nimble.
We're nimble. Yeah. All right, Jules. What else? What else is going to happen here this season? I think.
Well, I see there might be a big promise coming from you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess with the space in between, I can actually record myself making some of these drinks. I just get so camera shy about it, but I don't know. Some of the episodes I put out there, some of the little recordings I put out there,
they're my favorite.
Went all right. So yeah, I'll do more of that and get better at using. Honestly, you know what it is? I'm just terrified to use the Instagram. It puts something out there that's all like hacked up and wrong, and the music's jacked up, and like there's misspellings everywhere. So it's like I get a little gun shy, but now that I've dipped my toe in the water a few times.
You can also just send it to me and be like, hey, I made this. Will you either A, tweak it, or B, just post it? No, bug me. Bug me.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll do that. All right. We'll get it out there. And I don't know. That's kind of it. Yeah. What else?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I mean, I don't think so. Again, nothing too much is changing. Same thing. We're here. We're here to make your happy hour better at home. Ultimately, so we want to give you guys content that you guys want, right? Rather than us, going off the rails. So if there's ever any comments, questions, concerns about your home bartending experience, please send them our way. Also, just don't forget, every episode is on theartofdrinkingpodcast.com, as well as our Instagram, The Art of Drinking Podcast. And then last thing before we get into what we're going to need for this new season, you guys, seriously, if you can go and leave us not only a stars review, but also a comment review, that helps our podcast so much. Again, this is our labor of love, but it really does make a difference to what we're doing here. It helps us a lot. So if you can go and leave us a review for last season or something about this season that you're looking forward to, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yep. Love talking to you. Love hearing you. Yeah. Okay.
Love ya.
Hugs.
Love ya.
Let's get on to the what to buy for the next 12 episodes. We'll get into tools and booze and liqueurs.
Little things.
Here we go. I got to tell you something. We were talking before we even started recording this episode about the holiday party that's happening here down the street, right? So, listeners, we're recording this in December, releasing in January, and that's just kind of what you do because it sucks trying to catch a leaving bus. So,
yes, exactly.
So anyway, so my nephew buys a house down the street from me, and they're having a Christmas party for about 50 people, and his wife Ani has done just a fantastic job of buying all these cool Christmas glasses and cocktail glasses and stuff, and they're going to kind of recreate a holiday bar in their house, and I'm super excited. So of course, he's like, hey, what should I make? And so there was some suggestions that were made, and apparently, like, I came up with too complex of a recommendation. And he's like, oh, yeah, Brad. He's like, Ian says, his drinks are kind of intricate.
I can't buy those ingredients. Yeah.
So he goes to you give him a milk punch, and he's like, yeah, perfect. Like, what in the hell?
Okay.
Milk punch is not easy.
Okay, but I will raise you. The thing with the milk punch is, it actually... It sounds more complicated than it is. Really, a lot of it comes down to just like patience at the end of the day. Because you throw everything together, then you throw the milk in, then you let it get all gross, and then you just strain it. I mean, it's really not that hard.
Well, you're not lying. I mean, yeah, it's simple steps, but so was mine. Like, I mean, all you need is patience. Either way you look at it, just go. Yeah.
Right.
No,
well, I mean, Brad, maybe mine just sounded better.
Maybe.
Oh my God, I'm joking.
I know.
Okay. The one that I sent him, it's a rosemary grapefruit milk punch. And honestly, like I found this because I was looking for ideas and then I was going to write on my own. And I was like, wait, this looks really good. And it's easy, right? So it's green tea, lemon juice, grapefruit juice, simple syrup, and gin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no, the recipe looked fantastic. I mean, I'm telling you, I was like, wow, that looks delicious. But you're going to make a milk punch? Like, all right. So, like, go get some equipment because you're going to want to strain that thing in multiple buckets because it takes forever.
Right.
Anyways, all right. So I'm
Right,
done.
right.
I'm done ranting. I'll give him a piece of my mind when I see him later.
Oh boy, oh boy. Well, don't tell
All
him
right.
well, I guess you have to tell him I told you. But you know
Yeah.
what? Sorry, Ian. Love you, but I thought it was
Yeah.
funny. Okay.
No. I thought it was funny too until I started like, what, that mother? So, anyways, here's the deal. We are going to talk about what to buy this season. And you know what? Maybe let's start off with this. Let's tell you what you're going to buy for next week's episode, and then we'll get into
Ooh,
the rest.
yeah.
Do you want to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I'll go. You know what? I'll go first.
Okay.
So here's what we're going to be making. We're going to be making an espresso old fashioned because we haven't done that yet, and they're fantastic. So what you're going to need is espresso that you've already brewed that's been chilled. Okay.
All right.
You're going to get bourbon of choice. You can do Elijah Craig if you want to. You could do Four Roses. Get your bourbon, get your favorite. Then you're going to get a Demerara syrup, which you can make yourself. Or what I like to do is a little cinnamon syrup because I know I'm going to have that left over from the holidays. So, you know, whichever, like a deep, rich syrup you have. Then pecan bitters, if you want to get crazy.
Yeah.
But,
where are you getting those at? Wow, that's cool.
Pecan. I think Dashfire has some. By the way, I saw Dashfires on Anthropology. Like Anthropology.
Ooh.
I know. I was like,
Fancy.
okay, Dashfire,
I know.
pop off.
They are,
but
they
have
are
a-
pretty fancy.
I know.
Big fans.
But
Big fans. Yeah.
the other one I just used in a like a fall martini. By the way, and I know I'm getting off script here. But the Dashfire bitters, the Mission Fig ones that
Yeah,
I
I
think
love
you
those.
had. Oh my god.
Love 'em.
Yeah. So just if you want to get crazy with bitters, get crazy bitters. But I will say the sub for pecan bitters, if you can't find them, just get like a walnut bitter. I feel like you just kind of want like a funky, like nut flavored bitter. Like I think
Yeah.
they have black walnut, pretty common.
Yeah, the black walnut bitters. I did the Fee Brothers on. So I made a banana walnut old fashioned,
Yes.
which was pretty good. But man, the black walnut bitters it's really a sharp taste. So a little goes a long way with those. So I think I
But
maybe
isn't that all bitters? In my opinion, I think that's all bitters. So just
I don't know. Like I can drink a shot of Angostura bitters. If I would have drank a shot of this walnut bitters, I'd have been like, what?
What if you split it? What if you split it like half amount of the walnut with half Ango?
Well, look at you with the perfect segue, Jules. That's what we're gonna do in next week's drink. So I'm going to make a banana old fashioned, and we're going to use walnut bitters and split that between walnut and chocolate bitters. But yeah, you could also use Angostura, and that's just how those bitters work. So hey, listen, I think we need to get into what we're buying though too for the rest of the season. So. All right, where are we at? And just to be clear, we're going to do your Mediterranean drink that we were drinking out in Italy,
We're gonna have
right?
to. Yeah, that'll be a springtime drink. I mean, that was
insane.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a drink that we're talking about from my sister's wedding that Luch and I collaborated on. It was like a basil, gin, olive oil cocktail. It was so good.
It's
So good.
insane how good that was. It was insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just whip this up. Wow. All right. So go get yourself some bourbon whiskey and some rye whiskey. Hello, Kitty. Kitty's saying a little hello there on the on screen.
Yep. Yep.
You're going to want to get some Irish whiskey. And if you're wondering, like, what kind of bourbon and what kind of rye, just shoot us a text. I can go back and give you the brand names.
Text. We should have like a call-in
Text.
text number.
Honestly, we should. You want to Google text number.
Text us.
And then we've got cognac. And in this case,
Yes.
the recipe calls out Remy Martin VSOP, which you can't go wrong there.
Nope.
London Dry Gin. And then is it London Dry for the Mediterranean as well?
I think that's a good place to start.
Totally. And here's the deal. If this is the first time you've listened to this show and you're like, oh, I hate gin, stop it. Stop saying that.
Stop it.
Because I'm telling you, I have yet to have somebody tell me that they hate gin, and then I put a cocktail in front of them that uses gin, and they don't know gin's in it, and they try it, and they're like, oh my God, this is delicious. I'm like, well, there
and
you
this
go. That was
Mediterranean
gin.
that we're going to be
Yeah.
making is like, I mean, it flew off the shelf at the wedding. And gin isn't the most popular spirit that was on the menu, but that was the one that was ordered like the
Yeah.
most.
Mezcal
so that's
was
what I'm
there.
saying.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we got rums. We got a couple of different rums. So we've got Jamaican rum, we've got an overproofed rum, and then we've got a gold rum, which is an aged rum that's 1 to 3 years. Gold is 1 to 3 years in the barrel. Tequila blanco, tequila reposado, vodka. And for the vodka lovers who are like, God, you guys don't talk about vodka very much. Well, we got 3 cocktails in the next 12 weeks with vodka.
Yeah.
Talked about the cinnamon whiskey. Talked about the amaretto. We've got Galliano makes a comeback. So
you'll
if
probably
you
still have some of that.
Yeah, well, you might. Yeah, unless you use it all up in all your Harvey Wallbangers, which I've still been loving on the Wallbanger.
Hashtag Wallbanger.
Hashtag Wallbanger. We've got Chambord making an appearance. Cointreau.
Yep.
Triple Sec. And if you don't remember from previous episodes, Triple Sec and Cointreau actually falls under the Triple Sec category, but they wanted to call themselves Cointreau because they wanted to distinguish themselves from all other Triple Secs.
I mean, they
really
did. Yeah.
We've got green chartreuse, which you're like, all right, jerk, you know how hard that is to find. And yes, I do. I'm hoping by the time this episode airs, that with green chartreuse, that it's back in supply, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So if you can't find green chartreuse, or if you can and you don't want to pay the marked up price for it now, I think now it's going for around 75. Some places I've seen it as high as 110. Jesus. But you can use something called Centum. That's Centum, Centum. And I think it's by Bodega. And then there's also another one that I use called, what the hell's it called? Booms. Let me go get it. Fuck.
Well, I use the one, it's by Faccio Brutto.
Here it is. Boomsa Cluster Bitter. So that's kind of close to, I mean, nothing's going to be green chartreuse, but it's going to get you there.
Yeah, the Faccio Brutta isn't perfect either, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh, that's the other, yeah, I've seen that around. I haven't tried that
I
yet.
know. There was one, hold on, let me just do a quick, there was...
Yeah, it's good, but it's just not quite there. Mm-hmm.
Is this it? I was at a chartreuse bar. This was kind of sweet. Azara is Azara Verte liqueur. Azara Verte liqueur. I've tried it. It's slightly too sweet, which is kind of a bummer. But the Dolan Genepi, I feel like, is also another one. I feel like that, but it's
so
hard.
Genepi is Genepi is not. Sorry, I don't mean to contradict you, but Genepi is not going to get you close. So if you drink chartreuse and you've had Genepi before, and you think of Genepi, you'll be like, oh yeah, I can taste the Genepi in here. But Genepi is not going to taste like chartreuse. I know. Chartreuse has like a hint of Genepi. It's like having a sprinkle on top of a cupcake.
I know.
Yeah.
The only positive is it's like $27. So if you want to go out and try it, it's not going to cost you $75 like green chartreuse will. So
yeah, Genepi is French Alpine moonshine.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's tough, but green chartreuse, we're going to use it. I mean, there's just no way around it. But we're using it in good cocktails. So
yeah, the intel I'm getting from on the Bodega Centum Herbis is comes from my son who works at this this swanky cocktail bar, and that's what they use there to sub in. And I generally trust those guys because that cocktail program is actually where I cut my teeth on like the cocktail revolution. Like we did a lot of cocktail classes there. So all right, so we've got sweet vermouth, but don't just hold on buying sweet vermouth until March because it's a fortified wine. Unless you're going to go make Manhattans or use something else with sweet vermouth, like by all means, like have some around. But you got 6 weeks with it, and then it, once you open it, it kind of starts to turn. Yeah, you'll never if you drink sweet vermouth that's a year old, it's not like going to kill you. It just oxidizes
taste
a little bit.
Yeah,
it ambers a bit. Peach schnapps, which I felt so funny writing it down, but this drink is going to be hilarious. Peach schnapps, you'll recognize it from the 90s, especially if you drank at like an Applebee's or a Fridays. Then that's kind of it for that. Oh, look at you. You've got some cool liquors. Tell me.
Ooh. Well, you didn't say mezcal. You always just leave my
Well, I
dear,
wanted you to. I know that's your best
dear
friend.
sweet
so
friend.
I just
Yeah.
figured you could introduce it.
Yeah. So we are going to be using probably a lot of mezcal, but one of the things I want to do a little bit deeper, especially since we're going every other week, is I'd like to get a little specific with the mezcal, whether it's skewing more, fruit notes, maybe more chocolate
Ooh.
notes. I want to be a little bit more specific and intentional with my mezcal picks. So then you
I
can
will
start
learn
exploring
from
that.
you. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because
Yeah.
mezcal is just like
I know.
I got this one that I like, and it's
You
more
do.
on the fruity side, and so
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, and like being really intentional with pairing it with the cocktail I'm using, right? Oh, well, I'm using this, it skews this flavor profile because of this. So that's my goal because
right.
we know as a group, as a collective community, that this spirit will be had many a times this season. So
So what I'm hearing is hold off on buying your mezcal until you provide guidance.
exactly. Unless you just don't care, which you might not. You might be like,
Yeah.
you know what? It doesn't really make a difference for me. Then
I
that's
care.
fine. Yeah. So that's number one. That's number one. Number two, I really want to play with liqueurs this year. I recently made a corn elote margarita towards the end of summer last year, and it was so freaking good. And I used this Nixta corn liqueur, and it was so good. And I
Yeah.
used it in that.
It's
I've made it
interesting.
in an espresso martini. It's and the bottle's so cool. It's literally shaped like a corn. So go out and get that.
Cob of corn. It's shaped
yeah.
like a corn kernel.
Corn,
The
like
cob
a
of corn.
like a cob of corn.
Cob of
of
corn.
Corn on
There
the
you go.
cob. But it's so cool. So go out and get Nixta. There's another liqueur out there called Ancho Reyes chili liqueur. They have a verde flavor that is just so much better, in my opinion, than a lot of the other chili liqueurs out there. It just has such a nice back heat. So I'll be using that, especially in the springtime. And then speaking of spring, there's a new liqueur out there that I really want to incorporate, and it's actually a gin liqueur. I think it's like Pomp and Whimsy is a gin liqueur that's out there that's amazing. So I've heard really good things, so I'm going to try that. Strega is another one that's a great liqueur to go out and buy. I think did we use that last year, Brad?
I feel like I recall it. I don't
Maybe.
recall using it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably did.
And then
maybe.
there's a brand, the Le Limone Meyer Lemon Liqueur, that I'm going to go out and buy and use this season. It just sounds like perfect for spring. So those are some of the liqueurs. Again, like Brad said, we'll let you know what we're going to be using for the week ahead. But these are a good start because this is where I'm starting. So start with me on these ingredients, will you?
There you go.
It'll be fun.
There you go. All right. So, tools wise, if you're again new and you haven't picked up any bartending tools yet, well, then we're going to use the Boston Shaker always 2818, my favorite shaker of all. Tin on
Samesies.
tin. I like them when they have the weighted bottoms. You'll need your Hawthorne strainer and a fine mesh strainer that's sized for drinking, right? So not like a giant one, but a nice conical little one that's shaped
Howbeit,
like a cone. It's about the size
Those
of
do work in a
What size
bind,
glass?
I'll tell you.
They do work. They do work. It's just if your pour starts to wander a little bit, it wanders. Yeah.
Yep,
Then you're going to want a graduated jigger. You want to go down to a 1/4 ounce all the way up to 2 ounces. And I like the Japanese style, but I do notice that people struggle sometimes because you got to fill them all the way to the top and there's
I
like
know.
spilling. So if this is like, if you don't got great hand control yet, if you do not have good, hand control and maybe shake a little bit or, you're just getting used to that, you're going to spill some stuff. So
Visky
any
has a
graduated
good
jigger.
one.
They
Visky
do.
has a good
Yeah.
one that's just one. It's literally looks like a weird shaped measuring cup
Yep.
mini,
That's
and
a
it has
pretty
all
good
the
one.
lines on it. That's great. I mean, just go for that if you're, unsure.
Go for it. Then you're gonna lose out in cool points, but Visky's all right.
Yeah.
I like those guys; they're fun.
Yeah.
So a citrus peeler, and I'm kind of down with this trick where you take that cheese planer, right? It's that cheese thing that looks kind of like a little bit like a paddle on the end of it, and it's got a slit in it.
Yeah.
That thing makes some awesome deep cuts for like oranges on your old fashioned. But if you're looking for something a little bit more delicate, I still love the Y peeler. Just be careful
Yeah.
with the Y peeler because you will
Oh God,
take the skin
I've
right
taken
off
off
your
my
fingers.
finger. Yeah,
off your knuckle.
yeah.
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 And
Happens.
then a blender is
Yep.
going to be involved, and I'm going to call out the drink. So it's the Hemingway Special or the Papa Doble, which is Hemingway's daiquiri, which is in a 10-ounce goblet that he liked drinking down at the Floridita in Cuba, and it's a blended daiquiri. Now, the original version, which I'll give you that recipe, is a bit rough. The modern version doesn't use the crushed ice, so you may not necessarily need the blender. Your call, but if you want to kind of, like you've been in the market for a blender and you want to get one, there's a reason to experiment.
Yeah.
And then, of course, go get a bar mat and an ice bucket, which, I think that's kind of a nice to have, but it's helpful if you're going to entertain.
I feel like we're entertaining. And the one thing that, I always make a mess, and I'm always so bummed when I don't bring out my bar mat because the bar mat is so easy. And I wanted to make a call out with the ice bucket. Yeti makes an ice bucket that will actually,
they really do, yeah.
And it won't make the ice sweat so they get stuck together. It is seriously the best, especially if you are making cocktails outside. It just go and get it. It's a total game changer. So I really wanted to call those out, Brad, because
serious ice bucket. I mean, it's
totally
it's going to set you back, but it will keep the ice cold.
Yeah, especially if you're a host with the most.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of luxury items, you don't need it, but if you want to look like a pro, get a bar spoon. You don't need it, but you want to look like a pro, get a good-looking mixing glass, too. Like, mixing glasses are just kind of like, they're elegant. It just gives a little flair to your game. You want a good, sharp paring knife that you'll use, obviously, to cut fruit with. You know, all this stuff you can use a regular soup spoon, if you want to, and you can use like a pint glass if you want to use for a mixing glass. You could use a chef's knife if you want to pair stuff. But this is all stuff that just ups your game a little bit. And you know what, man? I know that it's a little bit of a bromance, and they didn't even pay us for this, but I like that Claris ice machine. Like, you want to go get a luxury item? That thing
the
is
bromance
just
that never ends.
It just, man, I'm telling you, that cube is just so sexy, and especially when you use the Collins cubes. I'm sorry, it's just
it'll be fun.
If you
to
are
follow
into
along.
upping your game, this thing is like cherry on the top.
Yeah,
So.
it'll be fun to follow along with those who A, get it for Christmas this year, but also B, what they're going to do with the Claris company too, because they're just going to do more, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see what's going to come out. Yeah. Down the road.
Hey, listen. By the way, Art of Drinking 10, right? The Art of Drinking 10 gets you that 10% discount. If you got one for Christmas, right? Because this is coming out in January. Let us know. I want to see a picture of what you whipped
your
up.
Ice.
Yeah, and if you got a good ice stamp game, I want to see that too.
Ooh, yeah. We need to get an AOD one.
Totally, we totally do. Yeah, there's probably a way to do that. You probably know people.
I do.
All right, glassware. So if you want to go out and get the right glasses, I highly suggest doing that. This is kind of I think this is more important because I think glasses matter when you're making drinks. If it belongs in a coupe glass, sure. Could you drink it out of a rocks glass? Of course you could. But does it look nicer in a coupe glass? Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of coupe glasses, go get a coupe glass. And if you want, you can use you can get a Nick and Nora glass too. I'd start with a coupe, then get the Nick and Nora. We do have a drink that uses a Nick and Nora, but you can also use a coupe if you don't want to go get a Nick and Nora glass.
Coupe it up.
It's just a different shaped coupe looking glass. Yep. You want a highball glass, and you're going to want a Collins glass. And yes, those are two different things. A highball glass is different than a Collins glass. Collins glass is 10 to 12 ounces, and a highball glass is, let me Google it so I'm not wrong. Okay, why don't you make yourself edit more, Brad? Difference between highball and
I would know this if I had my book right in front of me, because I put it in there.
I know, and I always get the two confused. All right, usually a couple of ounces larger than all right. So a Collins glass is usually a couple of ounces larger than a highball glass with a capacity of 12 to 16 ounces. 16 is big, man. And a highball is 8 to 12 ounces. So that's the difference. But shapes are very similar. Both are tall. One's just a little bit narrower. So,
Yeah.
all right. And then you're going to want, did we say double rocks glass? You're definitely going to need a double rocks glass.
Yeah. And a rocks glass. Yeah.
Yep. And then for the Papa Doble, the Hemingway special, you're going to need a 10-ounce coupe glass or a daiquiri balloon or like a margarita glass because it's a big one.
We ain't messing around this season, okay?
Yeah. And if you want to get a martini glass, you can. I prefer my martinis in coupe glasses these days. But if you're like, no, I want a martini glass because I like the shape, I just like the way they look, you know, go for it. Go get a martini glass because we'll use those too. Yep.
But yeah, do your thing.
And on the fun side, we're going to do a shot or two.
Yeah, we are.
This season. So you're going to need a shot glass and you're going to want a pint glass because those two are going to be used in the same episode. And there might be some shots going into pint glasses.
Hey, I don't know. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Who's to say?
Yeah. So this will be a fun one. It's going to be a fun season. I know. Season. It'll be a fun year. We're going to go all year long. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I don't know. Maybe in between, like after we get a run and we're like, hey, we could afford a little kind of catch up and maybe we'll jump on and do a little happy hour or something and
a little happy hour special.
But I don't know. Maybe that's a promise I shouldn't make. We should probably talk about that offline.
It's open. It's an open idea. It's an open idea.
It's an open idea.
Yeah. No, this feels good. This feels right.
Yeah. If there's organ rejection, right, to us going every other week, then maybe we'll talk about doing that happy hour or a little kind of like filler. So
no, but I feel like we're gonna hit some good things. We're gonna hit Valentine's Day, April Fools. We have the Derby. I mean, there's good things throughout the year that we're gonna touch on that make hosting and drinking much more enjoyable.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. We're gonna stay on theme, right? We're gonna kind of keep like winter with winter, spring with spring, summer with summer, fall with fall. Yeah. So we are going to try to align stuff with the seasons. So you're kind of drinking in season. Yeah.
You're drinking with us. You're drinking with us.
Please.
Yeah.
That's it, Jules.
Okay.
Any tips? No tips today, right?
No tips today.
Tips. Listen next week or 2 weeks.
Listen
2 weeks.
Listen next week. The only thing I wanted to add to end this podcast was, Brad, what was your most notable recipe from last season?
My most notable recipe from last season. Well, I have to say that I loved the port flip. I thought that was just,
me too.
God, that was just really good. And that was just right up towards the end. So that was a good one. I don't know I don't want to say the obvious. Maybe you are. What was yours?
Okay.
Yep.
Because I did it and I was nervous and I was scared and I wasn't sure. And it was so much easier than I thought. The Charles Dickens punch. That will be a showstopper recipe for years and years to come. I mean to tell you. And listener, go back, listen to it. It is the coolest thing I've ever done in cocktail making to date. And it's so much easier. It's so much easier than I thought it was. Like, really, I was shocked at how this all came together.
Yeah, that was and honestly, I would have said that, but I figured you might want to bring it up because I know you've been having fun with it.
Yeah.
Also, like on the Instagram at the Art of Drinking podcast, you'll see a video of me in a skeleton outfit making the Charles Dickens punch. So if you want to see what it looks like and just kind of how to make it and follow along, check out that video. Listen to the story, though. It's kind of a fun story. I mean,
it's a super fun story.
It's a fun story about the punch.
The other one, you're right. The other one was the port flip. That one, for me, the history was so cool with the hot poker and how they used to mix it to heat it up. Those two, I would say, are the most notable for me from last season.
Nice. Yeah. I gotta tell you, there's just so many. It's like they're all blending together, but
I know.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else. Like, what else is out there? Let me just see real quick from last season. Oh, the Vieux Carré, the Brandy Crusta. Like
we hit New Orleans.
Oh my God, we went through New Orleans like crazy. Yeah. Like even when we didn't think it was something to do with New Orleans, we're like, oh wow, this has roots in New Orleans. Yeah, so
you'll be shocked to find out.
Loved the Brandy Crusta. Oh my God.
And, that's right.
God, the Vieux Carré. I hope for those of you that made the Vieux Carré, you are still like enjoying it because it is like one of the most elegant cocktails. Even Dawn, she's like, I mean, she's like, after we taught her how to make the drinks, she had been making them for guests. And
Yeah.
people are like, oh my God, what is this? And it's just such an elegant, it's an elegant drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, last season, if, once every other week is too slow for you, go back and listen to the ones that you haven't listened to or maybe you missed. Everyone we've put out, I feel like I could rave about. Like, it really was fun last season too. And it was,
the old Cuban. I'm looking at the episodes. Like the old Cuban.
Yeah,
that was
great.
a good one. Remember the
Yeah.
old, God. I had a bartender actually. I walked her through how to make it, right? Because I saw her pull out this huge bag of mint, and I'm like, hey, I see you got some champagne over there. Do you ever make
You know
old
what you could
Cuban?
do?
I teach you how to make an old Cuban.
Yeah. And
yeah.
the 20th century too was good. So
that was surprising use of cream de cacao that I was like, all right, dude, that's actually tastes really good.
Yeah. No, we had some good ones last year and only good ones to come in 2025. So stick with us every other week. We'll let you know what you'll need for the week ahead in the episode beforehand. So you can quite literally sip along with us. So this is going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yes. All right. See ya in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.